In the battle of the shorthanded, the Jazz got it down to 1 and looked like for the first time all season they might come back to win a game when trailing go to the fourth. And then it didn't happen. We're talking about it next on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke along with Ron Boone, your Utah Jazz radio team. As the Jazz fall to the Golden State Warriors 114-103. We'll wrap up the show, of course, give you the reliability pluses at the end of the program. Walk through how guys played tonight. Collin Sexton had a monster night of 30. We'll look at that. Keyonte George came off the bench. How did he deal with an adverse opening stretch of the basketball game? And how the Jazz, just shorthanded late, did not have enough firepower to handle the Warriors, who were also shorthanded, but probably a little bit more of a veteran presence. David Locke along with Ron Boone. And Ron, what's your thoughts on this one?
That was one of those ball games that expectations, I didn't have any. It's one of those ball games where you were hoping and for the most part wishing that, they did some very good things out there on the floor that Will could say, good guys. I mean, for the most part, he was happy with.
I thought the effort, like if we want to kind of go to Will Hardy's theme of the week, like I thought they played pretty hard. They're pretty shorthanded. They didn't have any, Sexton was your one scorer on the floor tonight, and Keyonte is clearly discombobulated right now. So Collin goes and puts out 30. There weren't natural ways for them to get points. I think that Will be generally pleased with the effort tonight. There were some bad point of attack defensive plays. There were some rebounding struggles. They were very, you have 100 possessions each way. Things aren't going to be perfect, but I think generally he'll be pleased with the effort tonight.
There's some positive things that he could probably take out of this, but going into the basketball game, I don't know if I had expectations of what. I mean, both teams shorthanded, both teams playing guys that maybe one or two guys that are not in the rotation, and you just didn't know what to expect, I think, between the two teams.
It's interesting. The Jazz opened the night. They hit 10 of their first 12 shots. Andrew Warren, Jazz assistant coach, joined us and said, hey, we hit the pocket pass, we execute, we found the corner three, and then for some reason, we just went away from it from that point on and lost their bearings a little bit. Then they hit 12 of 32 for the rest of the first half. They didn't shoot. They shot fine in the third quarter. They went 10 of 22 in the third quarter. Didn't hit a lot of threes, and then late in the game, they just didn't have the execution. But they had this stretch to open the game. Now, clearly, Steve Kerr thinks that Trace Jackson Davis was a part of that because Trace Jackson Davis played the opening 6 minutes of this game when the Jazz shot 10 of 12 and did not play again after that.
I was so surprised. I thought, okay, he didn't play him the first half. Now he'll probably start the beginning of the third quarter. That didn't happen. But Looney, being the veteran he is, came back and got it done,
It's interesting. The guys who got it done really were Looney made a bunch of plays. Wiggins made a bunch of plays. Those guys Moody's been a part of a championship team. As much as they were shorthanded as well tonight, they do have 3 or 4 guys who've played in June, right? We don't have those guys on our roster. And there is some just institutional knowledge of having those kind of moments and experience. And this was frankly an important win for the Warriors. They're going to lose tomorrow night to Oklahoma City. They've lost 20 of 30. They sat Steph tonight. They don't have Draymond and Kuminga. Had they lost tonight, that's, things are lining up for them to make the play into seeing what happens. Sacramento suddenly announcing they may be moving De'Aaron Fox. So they still have a chance to make the play. This was actually a game the Warriors really needed tonight. They did get it, but, and we saw that late. I thought Steve Kerr kind of zeroed in, really worked it, had the veteran shooter on the floor, had Wiggins on the floor, and was able to get some plays out of some of the guys.
We can't afford to lose this basketball game, just like you just mentioned. And Brzezinski was the one that made the big shots.
He made a big shot, I think.
No, he hit a couple of threes.
In the fourth, I thought he missed a bunch before. He made the 1 3 that was the dagger in the left corner. Otherwise, I thought he was building a building out there with some of the bricks he was throwing up.
4-for-11 from the 3-point line. I think the two that we're talking about there. But you just mentioned, they needed to win this basketball game. And Oklahoma City tomorrow, they have Phoenix, and they still have Orlando to play on this stand that they have here at home. They have a 6-game home stand here. Then they go out on the road to 6 games.
And they've lost 20 of 30.
Yeah, so it's kind of tough for them.
All right. I don't want to get into an issue where we analyze Keyonte George every minute of every night of every game. Like, I think it's important to look at him in blocks. However, he actually worked himself into the storyline of this night. He opened the night by turning the ball over 4 of his first 6 possessions. I mean, really disastrous. Did not take a shot in his first 9 minutes on the floor, which is certainly different than what he did 2 or 3 nights ago. He finished the night, I thought, if we're talking about effort, I was impressed. He didn't make shots. He went to the free throw line 10 times. I don't care about the box score. I was impressed about the fact that he didn't wilt tonight after a start that was about as bad a sequence of basketball as you can have.
Well, the only place he could go was up.
But a lot of guys just don't go at that point, right? Is that fair? Like, some guys just decide they're out.
He can't afford to do that.
Right. So that's why I'm pleased that he didn't.
Yeah, I'm pleased as well. I'm happy the way he played tonight, even though he didn't, make some shots. And the way he started the ball game up, as you just mentioned, turning the basketball over 4 times and giving some points off of those turnovers. But I was trying to watch individual defense for him. He's working very hard on trying to stay in front of a man. But if you get a hard driver, then he ends up getting beat. So he's got to work on that part of his defense.
And the technique he's going to have to learn is to hold his ground. He's stepping toward the ball. Alec Burks and Dante Exum used to do this too. Dante used to really do it. Dante used to get called for foul, and our fans thought he was getting robbed all the time. He was always stepping into the ball handler defensively. Keyonte needs to learn to hold his ground. He has the right to that path, but he can't step into the ball handler defensively, or else he's going to get called for fouls. We'll talk about the good outing by Collin Sexton, and I will tell the Gary Payton story on the postcast that I wouldn't tell on the radio. Lacey's asked for it. She will get it. It's all coming up. Today's show is brought to you.
Forget too much.
No, she listens every night. We appreciate it. Tonight's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl is here. That's right. The Super Bowl is here, and FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner with the Super Bowl. So jump aboard and get a part of it. Make sure you take advantage of all of the various actions, national anthem, games, first touchdown, all the rest. There's no better way to make every play more exciting with FanDuel. Plus, the live betting going on during the game. The app's easy to navigate, plus knowing you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl. That's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, Collin Sexton had 30 tonight. What's your thoughts?
I think you can always get you can always get a great effort with Collin Sexton. I mean, and is he efficient? Sometimes that goes from quarter to quarter. But you can always get that very hard effort by him. I don't think Will's concern with Collin Sexton is the fact that he doesn't play hard. I think he's a very good 6-man.
Yeah. He really can
that
score.
Would be the position he would be in because of the way he can put points on the board in a hurry in a short period of time.
Here's the interesting one in this game. Ron and I talked about this during the broadcast. At the end of 3 quarters, the Jazz effective field goal percentage was 59%, and the worst was 51%. Like, how are they losing? How are they down 9? And the answer was the Jazz had turned it over 4 more times. The Warriors had 5 more offensive rebounds, and the Warriors had 10 more free throws made. Like, they just got the game on the margins tonight. Like, the Jazz finished tonight shooting overall 51%. The Warriors shot 39%. It's why field goal percentage is a stupid stat. But it's also pretty interesting. You don't see it very often. The Warriors, though, hit 17 threes, and the Jazz hit 8. So those are not the same shots they're taking. And the Jazz are really struggling with their 3-point shooting. The Jazz are shooting 32% from 3 over the last 10 games. They shot 31% right now. But that's an interesting game that you have, like, kind of a box score that doesn't entirely make sense. And you kind of look down the line. The Jazz shot 51%. There's a lot of guys that feel like they probably had a pretty good night shooting. Yeah.
And then you look at, there's so many things to look at, but it's going to boil down to, what you just mentioned there, points in the paint. Was there a big discrepancy between the two teams? Yes. But David, that fourth quarter, you look at this fourth quarter.
Even?
Look at it, 7 for 22.
The Warriors are
6 for 14.
But they took 22 shots for our 14. That's not great.
Right, yeah. But only getting up 14 shots
Well, and only getting up 5 threes, frankly.
5 threes, yeah. So it's
When you're
fourth quarter. The Jazz didn't
you really
finish
can't
very,
take
they didn't
5
finish very well.
Yeah, you can't take 5 threes when you're down by 9 in the fourth quarter. You're gonna have to, the story of the night, the Jazz Keyonte had the ball 100-99 with about 5:50 left. He missed a 3 that would have given the Jazz their first lead since early in the first quarter. And then they just didn't make. Then they missed a handoff. They missed a rebound. They just missed a rebound on a free throw. They just did not make plays. They just did not execute it well down the stretch. All right, you ready? Let's go reliability pluses, and then I'll give my story.
Okay, so
and hopefully someone will check on the internet to make sure it's true.
I like Eubanks.
Okay, Eubanks gets a reliability plus. He is very reliable. He's actually the essence. The concept of those, if you're new to about the reliability pluses, the concept is players who Will Hardy is getting exactly what he expects and anticipates out on a given night. You don't have to be a superstar. You just have to do what you're supposed to do, and then if you do that, you get a reliability plus.
And you don't necessarily
Thurl
have to
Bailey
score
gets a reliability plus every night on TV for his performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
There
was
he is.
Standing there?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
You can come say hi. No, Dikembe. Don't do Dikembe. It was that. Okay. You're doing that.
No, David.
There's a children's book called that, by the way. No, David. Yeah, it's by David Shannon. It's really, trust me.
That's what his dad used to say to him.
Hey, shout out to Dad, by the way. Cataract surgery there. He would have joined us on the broadcast.
I've had it. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Okay. Second one in I think. Yeah. All right. What do we got? Drew Eubanks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Eubanks. You got to go to Collin Sexton because he's
30.
the one that really, kept everything going there. And let's give Keyonte one there as well.
That's
because
nice of you.
he continues to fight and hopefully he gets back to the point where he is reliable.
Okay. And 11 free throws is great.
Yeah. So
I
think that's going to be it.
All right.
Unless you have one.
I was considering giving something to Micah for the threes early in the ball game. That was kind of the highlight of the night.
He needs he needed a night like this.
Yeah,
but
that would have been the only one I would have thrown out there. All right.
Let's go with it. He has 7 rebounds there as well.
Here's the story. Gary Payton II and Gary Payton Jr. Were born inside 9 months of each other.
Really?
Have a good night, everybody.